Let's understand how to perform total aggregations using conventional loops on top of the collections. We have pre-existing functions to take care of aggregations on top of collections such as len, sum, min, max, etc. Let us understand how they are typically implemented by going through this topic. First, let us run this to go through the Python notebook, which actually copies the data from files into two collections, orders and order items. I have already demonstrated about that notebook earlier. Now, to validate whether orders and order items have the required dataset, we can just run these 4 cells. We should be able to preview the data, and also we can get the number of elements in these lists called as orders and order items. Now, let's perform the first task. The task is use orders and get total number of records for a given month. We will develop a function which takes orders collection and month as arguments. Month will be passed as the integer in the form of YYYMM. Example is this one. Finally, we will be returning the order count. Now, if you run this, you can preview the orders dataset. We can see 10 of the records. We can assign one of the record to a variable called as order. Order is of type string. By saying split of comma like this, the string is converted to list of strings. By saying this, we should be able to get the date. This one will give us the month. Now we want to compare this against the month which is of type integer in this format. For that, we need to replace the hyphen with empty string, and also we need to typecast to integer. So this will take care of replacing the hyphen with empty string. However, the output is still of type string. By using int constructor like this, we should be able to convert it to integer. Now this is of type integer. Now using this, we should be able to compare with the passed argument if it is in that format. If both are equal, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. And that is what we are doing here. So this is the function get order count. It takes 2 arguments, orders and order month. We are initializing order count to 0. Then we are iterating through the elements in orders. And in each iteration, we are extracting the month part, replacing hyphen with empty string and typecasting to integer. Now we are comparing this with the argument that is passed. In place of this order month, we typically pass the integer. If both are equal, we are incrementing the order count to 1. Otherwise, we are ignoring. So as the data is processed for each and every record which falls in the past month, it will actually increment, and finally we are returning that as part of this return statement. Now we can validate this get order count by passing the orders collection and the month as integer like this, and we should be able to see the results. So out of 68,883 orders, 5,908 orders are placed in the month of 2004, not 2004 but 2014 January. Now let's perform another task. This task is to use order items dataset and compute total revenue generated for a given product ID. So we'll be developing a function which takes order items and a product ID as arguments. Product ID will be passed as integer. Compute revenue generated for a given product ID using subtotal, and subtotal is the 5th element within order items. Finally, we will be returning the computed product revenue. So let's preview first 10 records of order items. Let's assign one of the record to order item. It is of type string, which contains the string. To extract the information, we can use split function like this using comma as the delimiter, and you can actually get all the details you are looking for. Product ID can be extracted like this. Third element is the product ID in this list. It will take care of returning that 957, which is nothing but product ID. We need to typecast integer so that we can compare with the argument for which product ID is passed as integer. And hence we are using int constructor, and we are trying to convert this to integer, and it is successfully converted to integer. Similarly, the 5th element is the order item subtotal. The data type is float. We need to typecast it to float so that we can add these numbers to get the product revenue. Now, if you look at the function, as part of the for loop, we are just saying L product ID equal to int of blah 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 to get the product ID the way we are expecting. And then order item subtotal is nothing but float of order item dot split of comma of 4, which will actually give us order item subtotals like this. Now, if the product ID which we are extracting for each and every order item is the same as the product ID that is passed as argument, then the order item subtotal is added to the product revenue, which is initialized to 0 here. By the time we complete all the order items, it will actually have the total product revenue for the given product ID, and we are returning that here. This will take care of returning the product revenue for us. Now you can validate by saying get product revenue of order items, 502. So for all orders related to 502 product ID, we can see the revenue here. The revenue is nothing but $3,147,800 or whatever unit the data is representing. Now let's perform another task. The task is to use order items dataset and get total number of items sold as well as total revenue generated for a given product ID. So we want both the number of items sold plus revenue, or both number of items sold as well as revenue. We should not be using plus, we should say both the number of items sold and the revenue generated for a given product ID. For this, we'll be defining a function which takes order items and product ID as arguments. Product ID will be passed as integer. We need to get number of items sold for a given product ID using quantity, which is fourth field within order items. We need to compute revenue generated for a given product ID using subtotal, which is fifth field. Finally, we need to return the number of items sold as well as revenue generated. When you use return statement and return more than one value, then the type of the returned results will be tuple, or we can also pre-build the tuple and we should be able to return the tuple itself to get more than one values returned for a given function. So in this case, let's see how we can leverage tuples for this kind of problems. In this case, I am creating two tuples, T1 and T2. Result is also a tuple, which is initialized to 0 and 0.0. Now, as we process, if you wanted to aggregate into the result, this is how we can take care. So we can say res of 0 plus T1 of 0, comma res of 1 plus T1 of 1, which means this will be added to this and this will be added to this. And we are assigning to result. After this operation, result will be 1, 200.o. Now, if you want to add the second tuple, this is how you can add to result. And if you run this, the result will be the sum of these two tuples by adding the corresponding values. So the first element will be sum of these two values, and the second element in the result will be sum of these two values. You can validate by looking into the output. We can see 3 and 500. Now we'll use this approach to actually aggregate into a tuple. So if you look at the get product matrix function, which take order items and product ID as arguments, we are initializing product matrix to 0, 0.0 as a tuple, which is similar to res earlier. And then as we process order items, we are extracting the product ID so that we can compare with the argument that is passed. And then we are actually extracting the metric for the order. So in this case, we are interested in both quantity as well as the revenue, which are nothing but fourth and fifth elements. Quantity is of type integer and item subtotal or revenue is of type float. That's why we are typecasting to int and float respectively. Now in each iteration, we are extracting both quantity as well as the item subtotal, and we have to use this to add into this. And if you look at the if condition, if product ID equal to product ID that is passed, then product matrix, which is nothing but this one, equal to sum of the product matrix of 0 plus order matrix of 0, which is nothing but adding quantity part of order matrix to product matrix first element, and then order item subtotal from order matrix to product matrix second element. Now once we process all the records in the order items, we can return the product matrix which contain aggregated quantity as well as aggregated revenue. We can validate by running this. If you run this, you can see for order ID or product ID 502, the number of items sold is nothing but 62,956 and the revenue generated is nothing but 3,147,800. This is how you should be able to use tuples to get the aggregated results using more than one attribute. You can also use this approach instead of using tuple for aggregating into product matrix. I have initialized two variables, product count and product revenue, and we are actually updating product count using order matrix first element and product revenue using order matrix second element. Or we can also say product count plus equal to order item dot split of comma of 3. After typecasting to int like this, we should be able to add it directly into the product count. Same is the case with product revenue. We should be able to add this to this, and we should be able to get the count and revenue aggregated in each iteration. And finally, we can return both the arguments like this. Even this one will work the same way. You can see the results are same, whether you use tuple as part of your function or you use two variables separately like this. Also, if you look at the type of the return value, even though we are not returning tuple, as we are returning more than one value, it actually converts to tuple, and you can see the type of the return results as tuple here. Now let's perform another task. As part of this task, we will take a list of tuples and we will return float value, which is nothing but commission amount. If you look at the data is called as transactions. It contains list of tuples the tuples contain the sale amount and commission percentage. So we have to multiply the sale amount with commission percentage, which will give us the commission amount for each and every transaction. And we have to add all those commission amounts for each transaction to get the total commission amount. So that is the problem statement. So in this case, each element in the collection is nothing but a tuple. First element is the sales amount and second element is commission percentage. Commission for each sale can be computed by multiplying commission percentage with sales. Make sure to divide commission percentage by 100 because we are passing as plain integers with respect to commission percentage. Unless and until you divide it by 100, you will not get actual percentage. Then you can actually multiply with the sale to get the commission amount. Some of the records does not have commission percentage. In that case, commission amount for that sale shall be 0. For example, if you look at this, there is no commission percentage. We should consider the commission amount to be 0 and that 0 need to be added with the rest of the commission amounts to get the total commission amount for all the transactions we have as part of this list. Function should take a collection of tuples and a return commission amount which is of type float. Let's go through the details about how we can take care of this. Now let me run this. Transactions is of type list. You can actually validate by saying type of transactions. It will return as list. So transactions is of type list. We can preview the first 6 records by saying transactions of column 6 like this. You can see all the 6 elements. You can get the first element by saying sale equal to transactions of 0. You can get the type of it. It is nothing but of type tuple. Now using this sale, you can actually divide the second element, which is nothing but commission percentage, by 100. It will give us the actual commission percentage. We can multiply with sale of 0, which is nothing but the actual sales amount for that transaction. As we are dealing with floats, the decimals might be more than 2. To make sure that we have only decimals up to 2, we are using this round function. So we are saying round of sale of 0, which is nothing but this sale amount for the transaction multiplied by commission percentage, comma 2, which will give us the commission amount for that sale. You can see here the commission amount is nothing but 30.08. Now when it comes to this record where there is no commission percentage, if you try to use the same approach, it will throw error because length of this tuple is only 1 and you are trying to access the second element by saying of 1. As there is no element as part of the second index in tuple, it is saying tuple index out of range. You can validate by saying len of sale. This sale have only 1 element even though we have comma here. As there are no 2 elements, we are getting len of sale as 1. Now to fix this problem, you can actually say commission percentage equal to sale of 1 divided by 100 if len of sale equal to 2, which means if we have both sale amount as well as commission percentage, then we are actually dividing the commission percentage by 100 to get the actual percentage, else we are just returning hard-coded 0. Now if you run this, it will actually return commission percentage as 0. We can leverage this as part of our function, which is nothing but get commission amount. It takes the collection sales as the argument. We are initializing commission amount to 0. This is the actual value which will be returning towards the end. And then we are actually processing all the sales by saying for sale in sales, sale amount equal to sale of 0, commission percent equal to round of sale of 1 divided by 100, comma 2, if len of sale equal to 2. Which means if we have commission percentage as part of a given record within the transactions, we'll be getting the actual percentage by dividing by 100 and then rounding off to 2. If there's no commission percentage, we are just returning 0. Now using this commission percentage, we should be able to multiply with sale amount, which will give us the commission amount. And we are adding that to the aggregator commission amount, which is initialized here. Once all the records are processed, whatever is the total commission amount, we are just trying to round off to 2 decimals and returning that here. Now I should be able to run this and I should be able to get the commission amount, which is nothing but $1,066.51. This is how you should be able to process the list of tuples to get whatever output you are looking for by multiplying and adding those values to get whatever you are intended to get. In this case, by using transactions, we got the commission amount by multiplying the sale amount with commission percentage. If commission percentage doesn't exist, then we included 0 in place of that to get the total commission amount without getting into any issues. So that being said, these are some of the examples with respect to performing total aggregations using conventional loops. Make sure you go through these examples and practice as much as you can so that you are comfortable with Python programming. The main intention for all these topics is both to understand the concepts and also to get better at Python programming.